This is part 5 of a series of videos on 2 particular problems. And remember, the 2 problems we looked at were this. You were at a university where the average height of students are 68 inches, standard deviation 3, You've already written that down. So the first question is you pick a student random and was probably they're taller than 6.1, and we found out it was about 5%. And question number 2 is what happens if you walk into a random class of 37 students and probably the average height is greater than 6.1. So let's think about how we actually use this in real life and in your potential jobs that you'll have. Let's say you're at a college and you're walking down and you say, I'm going to talk to the next person that I see on the street. And you turn a corner and there's someone there, and you decide to start talking to him. And while you're talking to them, you realize that they're taller than 6'1", and you want to say, well, how unusual is that? And I would say that while that is unusual, about 1 in 20 students you meet will be greater than 6'1", roughly. So that's fairly unusual, but it's not earth-shattering. Let's look at the second situation. You decide, you're bored at college, you decide to walk into a random classroom. Just see what's happening in that classroom. And you walk into a random classroom and there's 37 students. And you find out that as you're looking around that the average height of those students is greater than 6.1. And you might want to think about how unusual that is. And what this says is that would be incredibly unusual. In fact, the chances there are actually less than 1 in 1,000 or 10,000. So what that would force you to do is reevaluate what's going on, what's happening. And I would say that most likely what would happen is one of 2 possibilities. At some point, either your assumptions are wrong. Maybe, for example, you're at a college where people are much taller than you think they are, right? That's one possibility. Your assumptions are wrong, either about mean or standard deviation. Or another possibility is that, in fact, there's an element of non-randomness or non-normality. And let's think. I'll tell you what I would think. I would think that if I walked into a classroom at a college and I looked around, there were 37 students and the average height was 6.1, I would think that I would have accidentally walked into a classroom full of football players. It's entirely possible that 37 football players had a class together, and it's entirely possible that you took a random sample of 37 football players and they could be taller than 6.1. So what we're doing here is we've really violated, if that's the truth, that we violated the sense that students you're choosing students at random, or another way to think about it is that students are not normally distributed across classrooms. And that's kind of how we use statistics, is we see what's the probability of something happening, and then if we see it, we ask how likely or unlikely is that, and how does that cause us to question our original assumptions.